you practice are monitoring on Suboxone versus those that say that's a bar to even monitored practice.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And I think we need long-term data on successes and failures of that. Yeah.
Even opening up to greater rather than just the state councils of nursing, but also the medical board, the state medical boards, again, kind of what across the board, the gamut of the U.S., what their positions are.
A lot of the physicians that work with monitoring programs, I can't remember his name now, the guy from that has Indiana, and he's actually the medical director at Parkdale, which is one of our recognized level 3 facilities up in Indiana. When he gave his discussion, he sounded very pro-Suboxone, but at the same time, I worked for 2 states. He also does some work with Illinois, but neither state allows Suboxone right now for people to practice. And so I think a lot of people kind of, in the position where I feel I'm at is, I'm not sure. I want to do more research and leading this program, and you guys on the board, I think we're all in agreement. Let's wait till the data is more clear before we decide.
Mm-hmm.
And we do a good job.
I mean, clearly Suboxone is important for recovery, but our focus on the board, our focus is different. It's not mainly focused on the recovery of the individual, but ensuring the safety of our clientele, our citizens. Mm-hmm. So while yes, it plays an important part in that, the overriding concern is making sure that they're safe to be practicing.
Yeah.
Okay. Any more comments, questions from anyone? Okay. Well, I guess we'll adjourn, and our next meeting is September the 27th.
Okay.
That's it. End at that time.
Okay.
Well, thank you so much.
Thanks a lot. Everybody have a good one.
All right.
Good, Mark.
You too.
Yeah. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Like that day of awful eating, and I can just get up and leave, and you guys can finish your meeting if you like. I'm sorry about it.
Oh, no, Tom, I appreciate you coming.
I get passionate about it, and I talk about it.
Well, yeah, that's why we invited you. Thanks a lot. I learned a lot today from you.
On the last day of our meeting last week in Memphis, there was a young lady, I think she worked with South Carolina, and she was a nurse who was recovering, and she was going around and doing these speeches and talking to folks. But they had a program that they started, and I'm not sure about what the program is, about how do you identify who's at risk so that we can provide support to prevent these things from happening. Do you have any information that might be helpful? I mean, we'd love to share things, and I mean, we have an entire page on our website devoted to peer assistance, and I would like to add links to resources if we had them. I don't know how to identify those people who are at most risk. Are they young in their practice? I mean,
that's one of the things I think since I've been here, Tim, I've struggled with, and Elaine and I have talked about it a lot, is, when we do our education, the main focus for us is to go, hey, we're here, TNPAP, because so many people don't even know we exist or what we do. A lot of people think we're, as Elaine mentioned, when we were having some breakfast this morning, why don't you have a .gov after your email address, .org, they think we can go get licensed. They think we call newspapers and report people, there's all kind of misconceptions about what we do. But that's something I haven't figured out, is how do you really educate people? I've gone to a lot of nursing schools and talked about it, and those that were not on their cell phones, not paying a look of attention to me, they kind of hear it, but they go, it's not going to happen to me, Or if they are using, I can't even look at them because, I feel guilty or whatever. They don't know. So, I walk out of there going, I wonder if anybody really learned anything today, how to get a hold of it. But also sometimes I have people come up to me after the meeting wanting to talk, because they got a problem or they know somebody that does. But yeah, I don't know how you go. I mean, that's a problem not only for nurses but society in general. How do you identify somebody that's prone? I mean, besides family genetics, and exposure to opioids. I mean, there are people out there who become dependent on medications that I guess you wouldn't consider addicted to drugs. To me, there's a difference. I don't know.
Okay.
But that'd be interesting to see how that plays out in South Carolina.
South Carolina. I've got to get their website and see what. And I have the paperwork from the meeting. If you have the agenda, it tells she was like one of the last people who presented.
Okay.
From South Carolina.
What's the title of her talk, or what was it about?
She told her story, first of all, as a new nurse, she became addicted. But then she is involved in a program of resources that is totally geared toward a resource for nurses in practice.
It's not a state organization like
that. She works for the South Carolina Nurses.
Okay.
So, and I think it's based on her I think on the South Carolina website. I believe she sent me the link. I sent out about the beginning of the week, so I couldn't catch that. But I just thought it was interesting, and I have not yet. But
I think the Wellness Committee, is AANA, their website and some of what you guys do is to try to educate people on the hazards. And I think that the nurse anesthetist, when I go to conferences, they are more aware of the dangers. Like 15 to 20% of you guys may end up with addiction issues than the nurses in general. Because that's hit pretty hard, I guess, in most of the schools, isn't it?
More and more. Not totally kind of the goal of the peer system is to try to get out and do a little more outreach to the schools of nursing and catch them early. It'd be nice if it was in the nursing schools first, but at least when they get into anesthesia school, they're at least get some education. When I went through anesthesia school, there was zero. Yeah,
I mean, the only education I got, of course, I'm old, talking 1975 and 6, when I went to nursing school, there was just a little bit of thing on substance use in the mental health section in the textbook. I mean, it was just next to nothing. And that probably hadn't changed a whole lot, And I think nursing schools, because they have to go in front of the board and explain why they didn't have a certain percentage on the NCLEX, they're so concerned with their students passing the test. Maybe if they ask more questions on the NCLEX about addiction and the dangers in nursing, maybe that would get more education in there. But a lot of the schools, like Belmont, asked me to come out and talk to their students quite often. But, we got our educational programs online that they can take for free. But other than that, I don't get many calls anymore to go out and talk to nursing schools. So I'm not sure.
Well, as an education consultant, I go to all the nursing schools. So you may hear more because I try to add things in that people need to see, that we need the students to know about more. So I'll add that information to the other things that are on my list that I always talk to the students about.
I think one of the things that I have seen during my tenure here is that when I first came and we really started doing annual reports and looking at that, the average age of the person that was coming to our program was like 55. And now, I haven't done stats for this year, but last year it was like 35.
Wow.
And then if you break it down even further as to how long have you practiced, we are seeing an increase in those 0 to 5 than we are the other breakdowns. And when you talk to the individuals, they was using, before they went to nursing school, they continued to use while they were in nursing school. How they passed to get into clinicals, I don't know. Some of them are not slipping through because we are getting more referrals from that standpoint. But they're starting extremely early. I think it goes back to society and the attitude. If you have toe hurts, you go to the bathroom and take something. And you can't told her.
Right.
So I think a lot of it comes down to that, but we do have a lot of numbers, and that all of our information, our database, the National Council has access to utilize any of that any way that they need to. With the other states to come up with some of the research that's going to help all of us, especially the nurses, as we move forward.
Okay, guys, if there's not anything else, I guess we'll adjourn and see everybody in September. Thanks a lot.
Wendy, you would just call.
No, she's on vacation this week.
I think y'all are keeping her from me. I'm kidding, you know.
We have our, we do our charting. We also do all our services and education stuff. And they asked me if there was something I could put together PowerPoint wise, 20, 30, 40 minutes, whatever, about substance use disorder. And they kind of left it broad as far as, because I said, well, that's pretty big. What do you want to know? And it, basically, kind of from the beginning to end, as far as kind of what you were saying there, as far as identification, or if you do identify, what do you do? How do you record?
But if you want,
do you have something like that?
Yeah, I have one. Yeah, let me send it to you on the email attachment.
Yeah, so you verify like hybrid, some of them pull a couple of slides off and include it with.
Do whatever you want with it.
Okay.
I'll send it to you. I'm always tinkering with it, you know, but.
Yeah, send me something, and
Yeah.
I'll look at it. I may use the whole thing or a few slides and try to vary it with